Hi everyone, I'm Cherie. Today is just going to be just a little bit of general fragrance chit chat, I guess. I think I hadn't really had a clear thought as to what I wanted to talk about today. Actually, that's not true. I've got several things that I want to talk about, but I just haven't really been in the headspace or had the time to really sit down and map these things out. So today is going to be a little bit of a just sort of mooch around some fragrances, just chatting about certain ones that have maybe caught my attention lately or that I am particularly enjoying wearing. So for those of you who don't know, I live in Brisbane, Australia, so it's still quite warm here, although we are starting to get into cooler weather. You know, for me, it's jumper weather if it gets below 25 degrees effectively. So first things first, I heard a rumour recently, and I don't know if it's true, but I heard that the Shalimar Soufflé de Parfum was being discontinued. And I kind of freaked out a little bit because I have only recently gotten into wearing the Soufflé line for Guerlain or for Shalimar. And I have really been enjoying wearing the Ententes in the evenings when it's quite cool. And we have a very outdoorsy lifestyle here. So in the evenings, we actually eat our dinner on the back deck pretty much all year round, even when it's cold. So the Shalimar Ententes is one that I have been wearing for a while. But then I heard some rumors recently that perhaps the Shalimar Soufflé de Parfum is being discontinued. So I was online buying something else and I saw this come up, and it wasn't hugely expensive, and it's a 90ml bottle, which is way bigger than I would normally buy, but the smaller one wasn't on sale, so I bought this one. I really struggle to describe the Soufflé line. For me, I'm surprised that this is part of the Shalimar, well, these are considered Shalimar flankers, because I don't really get Shalimar in this at all. Maybe it's something to do with the vanilla, the way the vanilla is done, or maybe some of the citruses that are in there. But for me, these Soufflé flankers are just completely different. And you know, if I didn't have Shalimar written on the bottle, I probably wouldn't necessarily think that they were part of the Shalimar line. It took me a while to appreciate them. I think the first one of this line I smelled in a store, and I think it was the Lumiere. It's the one with the sort of white bottle. And I really didn't like that at all. There is something about the Soufflé line that kind of gets into the back of your nose, and I want to say screechy, but I don't think screechy is the right word, but it's like squeaky or something. And it really didn't sit well with me the first time that I tried that Lumiere. And then years later, I think last year, the Soufflé d'Orange flanker was released, and I love Neroli and Petitgrain. So when I heard about that, I immediately went out and tried it. I was also attracted by the bottle because the bottle is really pretty. And I bought that one. I thought that was beautiful. And I then started to sniff the Soufflé line in store a little bit more regularly and fell in love with it, I guess. So anyway, so that's that. That was a recent purchase, the big 90ml bottle of the Soufflé de Parfum. It's a really gorgeous fragrance. I think I still like the Ententes a little bit more, but I will totally wear this, and I did wear it the other day. What does this smell like? To me, oh my God, that's way too exposed. Okay, hang on, that's better. To me, this smells like a vanilla citrus. It's got, so I can kind of get the bergamot in the top, and I think it's got mandarin in it as well. And then it's got that beautiful Guerlain vanilla in it, which is really sophisticated and refined and quite distinctive. And then there's some florals as well. I don't know if I would pick out any particular floral, but I get the feeling of white floral vibes. So I guess that's, and it does have sandbach jasmine in it, so perhaps that's where that comes from. This really to me is like a citrusy floral, sorry, a vanilla-y citrus, where the vanilla is really, really prominent. And, but it's not a sugary vanilla to me. But anyway, so that is Shalimar Souffle de Parfum. I am really enjoying that, and I'm glad I got a bottle before they ran out, although who knows if it's really discontinued or not. I can't remember where I heard that. And normally I'm not one for panicking about discontinuations, but I do really like that one, so I did want a bottle of it, and I'm happy with just the one bottle. I don't feel like I need to go out and rush and buy backups or anything. So the next one I want to talk about is another Guerlain, and it is Insolence. I'm just going to move this over towards the window a bit more to see if I can get some more light here. The good thing about this room is that I don't get direct sunlight, so I can actually store my fragrances out. But the bad downside to that is this is also where I film a lot of my videos, and if it's not blazing sunlight outside, then the lighting is really bad. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. I'm sorry. But for now, we'll just have to put up with dark grainy film. So the next one is a Guerlain Insolence. This is the EDP. There we go. This I run hot and cold with, I'm not going to lie. This is a violet fragrance, and I don't know, I think normally when I go for violet in fragrances, they tend to be violet leaf, so it's more of a green feel, whereas the violet flowers are very, very powdery, and I really love this when it's really, really cold, but I can't, a lot of the time I'll pick it up throughout the year, and you'll see, I mean, I've had this bottle for a couple of years now and I've barely touched it because I probably only wear it once or twice a winter, and only on the really cold days, because it's so powdery. And there's just something about this fragrance that makes me feel like I'm choking. I mean, there are a lot of fragrances that can be pretty heavy if you overspray and what have you, and I often use the term choking people out, but I don't often myself feel choked by a fragrance. This one I can and do, particularly if it's not cool enough to wear it. It does, when I put it on my skin and it's on a really cold day, it has powderiness, but it also has kind of a juiciness to it, which I really, really like. But I can't, yeah, most of the time, I just can't. So then I recently read that somebody was suggesting that they have the same problem with this fragrance. So that in order to counter that, they wear the EDT. So I recently also picked up the EDT. So I have been buying things during isolation, but I've been tending to buy things that, I'm not blind buying things. I tend to be buying things that maybe I've always liked and wanted to get and never got around to, or things that I more recently discovered that I liked, or things like this one where the EDP is just too strong. So sometimes you do need an EDT. I usually tend to just gravitate towards EDPs without even thinking about it. Okay, so now I'm really overexposed. So the next one I'm going to talk about is, I've only got this little sample at the moment, but I've been really enjoying it, and I'm tossing up whether I want to buy a bottle of it. And this is called Solar Blossom by Mizensia. I'll try and put a picture up on the screen somewhere. This is one of their newest releases, but I think it was still maybe released last year, not this year. This is just a really beautiful, bright, sparkling orange blossom. And I think it was meant to be reminiscent of the smells of Sevilla, and I have to say, when I smell this, it does take me back to being in Sevilla on holiday last year. I'm probably going to talk about my Spanish holiday to death over the next few videos, because there's been a lot of things that I've been sniffing lately that have kind of been taking me back there, and the fact that we can't go anywhere is sad. So I really, really would like to go on holiday and I can't. Anyway, so this is a really bright, clean, fresh orange blossom. I think it's got some citrus in there. It's not an orange blossom like the Fleur d'Orange, like Sergio Tan's does, which is quite heavy and dense and thick. This is really bright and sparkly and happy. It just smells happy to me. So I have been wearing this in the transition to winter, those sort of autumn days where it starts cold but then it warms up, and when that sun comes out but it's still a little bit cool, this is really, really nice, and it just puts me in such a good mood. I'm nearly at the bottom of the sample, so I don't know. On the one hand, I feel like I really just don't need any more bottles of perfume, but I really, really like this one. So that is the trap of doing online perfume masterclasses, is that you discover all these new fragrances, and I guess that's probably why we do them, and that was why I wanted to do it. I wanted to discover new fragrances, but not with the intention of buying. I just wanted to have a bit of fun with a group of people during this time when we can't do it in person, and just sniff stuff that I haven't sniffed before. So anyway, we'll see. I may buy a bottle, I don't know. We'll see. The next one is one that's been talked about in the fragrance community a lot over the years, so I'm probably not going to talk about it too much, but it is Spiritueuse Double Vinny, or Double Vinny. I only got a bottle of this last year, so this is I've been working off decants for a couple of years now, and then last year I finally decided to splurge and buy the bottle. In fact, I bought a few from this line that I had been going through multiple decants of, and I eventually just thought I may as well just buy the bottle. So, and as you can see, I have already worn it a fair bit. So this to me, well, this to everybody, I think, is just a really boozy vanilla. Being the more recent bottle, I do feel like it doesn't smell quite as deep or quite as boozy as, say, one I had a couple of decants ago. So I think, the formulation might be a little bit lighter than it used to be, but it still performs beautifully. I still really love it. It's a very comforting scent, and when I'm wearing a big thick jumper or a big blanket as a scarf, then this is perfect for those kinds of days. So very cozy scent. The next one is another recent purchase, but not new to me. I again have been through several decants of this, and my most recent decant very sadly suffered an untimely demise when we moved house in January. It was the only thing that got broken in the move, but I was really upset about it. I'd sort of put it on my one day replace list, and maybe I decided that right then and there that probably the next time I buy it, I'll just buy a bottle of it. And it is Ombre Nuit. Now, I know that a lot of people really love this fragrance, and I absolutely adore it, but I've heard lots of complaints from people that it doesn't last, and I find the longevity on this pretty good, actually. For me personally, I find I can get nearly a full day, so nearly 8 hours wear. Okay, so maybe that's not great, especially for an amber scent, and for the price that you pay for it. But the only reason I bought this bottle, I wouldn't have bought it otherwise at this point in time, but I bought it because I recently discovered that the Australian Dior website now sells this line, which you couldn't get it online in Australia before, I think, unless you went through some select stores. But you could never, ever, ever get the 40ml bottles. So you could only get the 125ml bottles. And I didn't think I wanted 125 mils of this. If I had bought a bottle 2 years ago, I might have bought the 125ml, but now I have so many other beautiful amber scents that I feel like this has a place in my wardrobe, because I feel like it's different to the other amber scents that I have. But I don't think I would wear it so often that I would need the 125ml bottle. And as I said, I get fairly decent longevity out of this. I wouldn't say it's spectacular, but it's good enough for me. I love this fragrance. It's a very refined amber. I'd say it's more woody than some of the other amber scents I have. Some of the other amber scents are more thick and syrupy. So what I want to compare it, I feel like I just want to compare it to Grand Soir, because Grand Soir is also very refined and expensive smelling, and I call it my tuxedo fragrance because I feel like if you need to be kind of dressed up to wear that, even though I don't necessarily dress up to wear it. And this, I would say, is in that same category, but this, where Grand Soir dries down quite sweet and kind of syrupy, this does not. It's more clean and woody, and I kind of want to say fresh, but it's not really fresh. It's not fresh as in citrusy fresh, but it's more a more crisp dry down, and I just absolutely adore it, and I'm so glad that I bought this little bottle of it. Okay, next up is one from a house that I'm kind of fangirling over at the moment, and it's not Omen Jane, in case you were wondering, although I'll get to that in a minute. But this fragrance house, so I bought this fragrance last year and I absolutely loved it. It was not at all what I thought it was going to be when I bought it, but I was not at all worried about that because it is just so beautiful that I had no concerns or qualms about the fact that it didn't end up smelling the way I felt it should smell based on the name. So it is Vinny Tonka by Nikolai Parfums. And what I really love about this one is it's called Vinny Tonka. So you would think that it would be quite sweet and, quite cozy. I mean, it still is a cozy scent, but you would think it's quite a sweet fragrance. And I was surprised that it's not actually that sweet. It is sweet. It definitely gets sweeter in the dry down. But again, it's not, it's not something like this, So what I really love about this fragrance is that it's really spicy. So there's pepper in there, there's lots of, I think there's cardamom, there's myrrh, and it's just really different. I don't think I've ever smelled a fragrance that smells this way with vanilla and tonka in it. And again, it's just a really beautiful, spicy vanilla tonka scent, but not overly sweet. So I find it's really good for me on days where I want that comforting sort of wintry, cool weather fragrance, but I don't necessarily want to deal with all the sweetness. And this just forms a beautiful, delicate cloud around you. And I don't know how much it projects or anything like that because no one's ever commented, but yeah. And then I recently bought a discovery set for this house. Well, actually recently, it was last year. And I bought it at the same time as I bought this. So I bought this and then I kind of put the discovery set on the shelf like I do and completely forgot all about it. And then this year, a couple of months ago in the warmer months, I pulled that out and I started experimenting with it, and I discovered, I think there was 6 fragrances in the discovery set, and I think I really liked 4 or 5 of them enough to sort of go, I want bottles of these because the 2 ml samples are not going to be enough. And yeah, I think if I had the opportunity, I'd go to town on this house and just buy a whole heap of them because they are that good. I really enjoy them. I can see myself going through this pretty quickly. So the next one probably will come as no surprise, especially as it's now sort of getting a little bit cooler, although I have often said, have I said it in these videos or have I said it on Instagram? I don't know, I get confused. There's so many social platforms now and I can't keep track of what I say and where I say it. So apologies if I am mixing up my social media platforms. But if I had to choose a signature scent, I would probably choose this one and be happy with my choice and not feel like I was missing out on anything else. This is a fragrance that I am happy to pick up and wear any day of the week and several days a week if I had to. And it is Almond Woman by Omen Jane. I did finally get a full bottle. I have been working off a 8ml travel size I was sort of saving it. I'd only use it for special occasions and now I can wear it whenever I want, and I do because I have been through that 8ml and I have now upgraded to a full bottle. So really, really happy to have this one. So this is it's a green woody fragrance with some resin in there. It's a little bit resinous, but it's like a dark green wood fragrance to me, and there's some florals in there, but for me it's really all about that woodsy green vibe that I get from it, and it's kind of a little bit on the dark side. When I think of green fragrances, I think of Chanel No. 19, and that is very beautiful and I wear that a lot too, but this is just that little bit more, it's just that little bit more mysterious, I think. So I really, really love this fragrance. The next one is one that I've heard lots of people say good things about. I've heard lots of people say that they appreciate it, but they can't wear it. And that is Haba Nita by Molinard. This is kind of weird, but for me, and maybe this wouldn't sell it on anybody, help anyone to feel good about buying this or trying it. I recommend trying it if you like powdery fragrances. This is a powder bomb. It's just powder from the opening. A lot of powdery fragrances, they aren't necessarily that powdery in the opening, but they dry down powdery. This is just powder from the very get-go. And I think I read somewhere, someone described it as Johnson's baby powder. I definitely get that. I definitely get that vibe. But it's that with rose in it. So it's just so it's like a Johnson's baby powder with some dark rose. It's like the adult version of Johnson's baby powder. And so it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of innocent and dark at the same time. And my friend one of my friends on Instagram, we were having a conversation about this. And he was saying, it's really edgy and dark. And I think I agree with that, but there is still an element of innocence about it, because maybe it's just because now I've got that Johnson's baby powder image in my head. I can't get it out. But I really like this one. I bought this last year, I think, and I sort of just put it down and never wore it. And then the other day I pulled it out because Pep from the Sentinel did a live stream a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. And at the very end of the live stream, someone asked him about this, and I went, oh, yeah, I've got that. I should wear it. So there you go. I did wear it, and I'm really loving it. I think I'll be wearing it. I actually have worn it twice already in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks or 1 week? A week ago on Friday. So yeah, it's a week and a bit. Okay, so the next one is a recent purchase. And I don't know what to say. It was a similar situation to this. So I did a masterclass, and this was one of the fragrances that was sampled. And I've kind of been curious about it. I've seen the bottles in the perfumery, and I don't know why, but I just never seem to gravitate towards them. I I don't really like the bottles that much, I think. I don't like how they feel in my hand, and I think they're a bit awkward. This one is So Nude by Costume National. I like the bottles in that they're kind of I guess they're a little bit unique, but I don't know, they just don't, they're rounded at the back. I guess they tried to be ergonomic, but it's too wide. I don't know, I can't, that's okay. I ended up trying this as a sample, and I think I went through, I already had a couple of samples because every time I buy from this perfumery, they end up throwing in a heap of samples, and this one seems to come up a lot in the free samples that they give you. So I had, I think I had 2 other samples, and then I had another one from the masterclass. So I had 3 samples in total, and I think I went through all of them in a week. I was just obsessed with this fragrance. So I ended up buying it. I am surprised that I liked this one, actually, because it has cumin in it, and I really struggle with cumin. I bought Rochas Parfum last year, I think, and just on a whim. It was cheap, so I bought it, and I liked the bottle, and I knew it was a classic. And unfortunately, when I put it, I like the smell of it in the air, but when I put it on my skin, no, the cumin just doesn't work well for me. And I've discovered that that happens a lot with a lot of fragrances that have cumin in them. The cumin just seems to amp up on my skin, and not in a good way. So when I tried this one and I read that there was cumin in it, I was kind of a bit, it's unlikely I'm going to like it. But then throughout the course, the masterclass that we did, we sprayed it on a card, and then I sniffed it on that, and I was like, oh, it smells really good. I can't really smell the cumin on the paper. So after the class, I decided I might just give it a go on my skin. I'm not going anywhere, so if I don't like it, I can always try and wash it off. And it worked really well. The cumin in here, so this is a tuberose fragrance, and it's quite a medium balanced, a medium weighted tuberose. So you've probably heard me talk about tuberose fragrances before, where I'm saying, oh, you know, it's really, really heavy and really dark or really green. But then you can also get that other end of the spectrum where it's kind of bubblegummy. This is kind of in the middle, I guess. There isn't a darker element to it. There is a bit of that juicy element to it, real body to it, but then it's not so dark or dirty that you sort of get scared of it. The cumin is noticeable in it, but for some reason on my skin, it just, I don't know, it just transforms into this amazing thing that smells really, really good. It's like a understated sexy, and I totally agree with that. This is a really sexy fragrance. It was designed to emanate the smell of a woman's skin, or to enhance it, but it was meant to have that skin element to it, and it does. The only thing I'll say about it is that I do reapply it a fair bit. Well, it is designed to be kind of a skin scent, so it doesn't project a heap, and I don't think it has a huge sillage either. So I think you just need to be aware that this one does sit closer to the skin, and it is one of those ones where you want the people to get close to you and smell it when they're really close to you and go, your skin smells amazing. And that's kind of what this is for. And or for me to smell my own skin and say that I smell amazing. The last one is also a recent purchase. A friend of mine gave me a sample of this at Christmas time, and I think it might have been either a 3ml or a 5ml sample. And I tried it at Christmas time, and bearing in mind Christmas time for us is a very hot time of the year, and I wasn't a big fan of it. And well, that's not true. I tried it and I thought, oh, it's too much for me. It's just way too much. But now that it's getting cooler, I'm wearing it a lot more, and I got through the sample and I thought, I think I want to keep wearing it, but I didn't really want to buy a bottle. I think the bottles go for about $2.99 in Australia, and they're 100 mils, and I didn't really want to buy a whole 100 mils. So luckily they have these handy 10 mil travel size ones, and this is BBK Rouge Smoking. Hang on there. And this is a cherry note in it. So it's a very boudoirish cherry fragrance. And which is surprising because I am not a cherry note. I don't really like cherry in fragrances that much. I think I do have Black Perfecto. I think that has a cherry note in it. And even that, I'm sort of, you know, I hardly ever wear it. Maybe in the coldest days in winter, I might pull that out and that's supposed to be something that you would wear with a leather jacket and stuff, which is probably the only time I ever do wear that one. But this one is really kind of, it's been described as a cherry cola vibe, and I would agree with that 100%. It is quite dense, so it does form a cloud, and I think it is likely to sort of project around you a little bit. Maybe not huge, you know, might not have huge throw, but you'll definitely have a cloud around you when you're wearing this fragrance. And it's just kind of really sexy but girly. Not girly, it's kind of sexy, maybe a little bit femme fatale-ish, but not too femme fatale. It's not super dark, it's not, maybe more of a vixen vibe rather than a femme fatale. But yeah, I really like this one. And I'm surprised because I really didn't think this was my style at all. But as I said, I got through the 3 ml sample that my friend gave me, and I was left wanting more. So I was very happy to discover that they have these 10 ml travel sizes. This will last me a while now, I think. So that's it. That is kind of just a run through of the fragrances that I've really been enjoying lately. Now that the weather's getting a bit cooler. There may also be a little bit more activity from me in relation to YouTube over the coming weeks. There might be a little announcement coming out maybe in the next day or so. I've been invited to do a bit of a collaboration with somebody else here on YouTube, so I can't post anything to my community tab, but I will try and post something to my Instagram so people know what's coming. But otherwise, if not, you can always feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you will be told what's popping up as it pops up in real time. All right, guess I'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.